Everyone, today's March 6th, 2021. This is the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My name is Green Ranger. Another week in Duel Links, and we get Antinomy this week, so talking about his level up cards and his rewards. His duel skills. Back to the topic of the Forbidden Limited List update, which is upcoming on March 9th. As well as the more important skill changes, which are going active March 17th to 19th. Also talk about latest esports and also a couple of new cards coming to the game as well. So, I'm going to be honest with you, I barely played Duel Links this week. It's a ringing endorsement for the game, but barely played. I think I'm in Plat. I'm in the last rank of Plat, so I would get to Legend if I did play, but I didn't. Really, it's just other games getting in the way. I've recently gotten back to Path of Exile after discussing it a little bit. I thought, yeah, it's a pretty cool game. I never played in 3 years, so I've been playing that, and there's not enough time in the day to do so many things at once. You can only do so much in a game. But in regards to the farming event, I did some of that, and I got all my cards, got all copies of my Raptor, TG Booster Raptor, so that's what I wanted. And, just taking it very easy in the game. Not being a tournament player and whatnot, there's no point in me, hitting King of Games so early in the season and having nothing to do for the rest of the month. So, taking it easy. I did not buy any of the Antinomic Theory box. Saving up gems for the next one. It's a bit of a hard pass here until I see something that really comes out that I really want to play, but nothing from the box was too appealing, so I did not buy the box. Alright, let's get to Esports. There is a Duel Links Meta MCS today, and I expect one deck to show up in that appearance. So Duel Links Meta Weekly 166. We see the return of Blue Eyes. That's probably the main narrative this week. With the nerfs upcoming, this is kind of the weird transition time where the tournament have already set the nerfs in while the game has not. So you're playing with borrowed concepts, and that I guess that had gotten Blue Eyes back into the game. First place embraced Ultimate Dragon's Blue Eyes. Again, there's nothing new about Blue Eyes, but just because Noble Knights got hit, Desperado got hit, that has given the deck an opening to come back. So, this is the deck. 1 Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, 3 White Stone of Ancients, 1 Dragon Spirit of White, 3 Sage with Eyes of Blue, 3 Blue Eyes, 1 Book of Moon, 3 Cards of Consonance, 1 Melody, 1 Paleozoic, 1 Raigeki Break, 2 Karma Cuts, and that's really it. Second place, Waver Beatdown Ritual Beasts. Again, there's nothing new here. Maybe they're running Book of Moon as a generic back row. It is running Beatdown, which works very well with the Ritual Beast Altia Paleo, because that can't be stopped. And then it gets buffed by like 300 or so. So, nothing new, just an opening for an old deck to come back. Top 4, Hash Ultimate Dragons Blue Eyes. Again, nothing new here. This is a little bit of a different build. You see Ancient Rules. Not everyone runs that card, but there's 2 copies of Ancient Rules, 2 copies of Treacherous. Not much to say. And top 4, Dead Fun Level Duplication. Thunder Dragons, we're going to see this deck a lot. Tri-Fortress Tops has pretty much become a core card in the deck. Special Summon it from the hand. It's just another level 6 play that helps you get into your XCs play. So there's a lot of rank 6 XCs here. There's Constellar Ptolemy M7, Fairy Knight Ingunar, which is a new card from the box, and of course Photon Strike Bouncer, which is probably one of the better rank 6 plays. Alright, next tournament, Battle Phase 5. This this tournament, top 4 features the new deck I was mentioning, the TG deck. First place, the G35 Ultimate Dragons Blue Eyes. Again, nothing new here. This is the Ancient Rules, Treacherous build. Whitestone of Legends also in this deck. Second place, Shiny Sophion, Set Delta Excel TG. So there's going to be 2 of these decks in a row. Third place, fourth place also got this deck. And this is the TG deck, but it's a very expensive way of playing it. If you thought about playing TGs with the cards they give you, you're not going to be able to think of this deck. So this is a deck that's completely different. 3 copies of Miscellaneous Source. So this card is UR from Truth Universe. Really, it was the best dinosaur card released ever in Duel Links. And basically, you send it from the hand to the graveyard. You could banish dinosaurs from the graveyard, special summon a dinosaur from the deck with level equal to the number of monsters banished. You do that. There's a little bit of disposable engine here too. 2 Raiden Hand of Light Sworn and 2 Charge of Light Brigade. So there's a bit of a disposal engine here. You have Fossil Dig to help tutor Miscellaneous Source, I guess. 3 copies of TG Screw Serpent and 3 copies of TG Booster Raptor. So these are the only TG cards here in this main deck. Screw Serpent being a UR from the box, and Booster Raptor being the free card from the Antinomy event right now. So this is a card you have to get from the drops. And basically, some kind of disposal engine involving the Raiden Hand of Light Sworn, Charge of Light Brigade, Miscellaneous Source, Fossil Dig, and those Screw Serpents and Booster Raptors. 3 copies of Book of Moon and 3 copies of Forbidden Lance. Now, these cards, Book of Moon can be defense. They both can be defense, but Forbidden Lance, of course, prevents your monsters from getting hit. And that's very important in this strategy because TG is doing a lot of synchro summons in a play. So you're going to do, get into the play for TG Star Guardian, modulate, get into a level 6. There's a few level 6s here. Vulcan the Divine, Powered Insectron, Brionic. Then you can modulate the level with Raptor or Screw Serpent, I think. Screw Serpent reduces the level to 5. So you synchro that. And then you set the dual skill to get the Recipro Dragonfly out. And then you get into the Halberd Cannon play. So there's a lot going on here. And Forbidden Lance will prevent your monsters from getting hit by back row while all that is happening. So it's likely a card you play from your hand as a quick play when you're doing your synchro play. And Book of Moon's similar. It's more of a defensive play, but you can also flip your monsters face down to prevent them from getting destroyed by a face-up counter back row. Other back row in this deck, Black Rose Dragon, Brionic, Powered Insectron, Vulcan the Divine, Onamaru the Divine Thunder, and 2 copies of TG Star Guardian. And of course, the dual skill will give you 5 extra TG synchro cards. Alright, top 4, Lorenzo Roma, same deck, Set Delta Excel TG, same exact deck, except the extra deck has a Coral Dragon instead of the Vulcan the Divine. And top 4, Bahu 2, Destiny Draw, Weather Painter. So there's a bit of a engine here, Valhalla and Hecatrice. We saw that with the Dark Lords deck with the Star Seraph. Anytime you have a fairy, you could consider doing the Valhalla and Hecatrice deck engine. Alright, quickly look at Brazil meta Duel Links 9, just for one reason. There's one reason I'm discussing this. All these decks, they all had a Thunder Dragon component to it, double deck format, but there's a new Noble Knight deck here. First place, TT Insert, Territory of the Sharks, Water Xyz. Nothing crazy about this deck. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, Forbidden Lance, 3 copies there. We're seeing a trend in preventing disruption here. And level duplication, Thunder Dragons, Trifortress Tops is there again. Second place, Dead God, Ultimate Dragons, Blue Eyes. This is Yeah, a lot of karma cuts. Level duplication Thunder Dragon as well. Top 4 Needson, Drawson's Dark Noble Knights. So Noble Knights have to move off balance. We'll discuss it later about the nerfs to the skills. But this helps you tutor Merlin. That's the only dark monster, a natural dark monster. And that's really the card you want to tutor to get into your plays with Madrot or Boars. Otherwise, the deck pretty much looks the same. Level duplication Thunder Dragons as well. No Trifortress tops here. Does have Lila Lightsworn. And top 4 PRU Machine Ultimate Dragons Blue Eyes. Same thing there. Onomatopoeia, Onomatopoeia. So all those things culminate into the power rankings. What are XZ's? Well, let's talk about this first. There's not much change outside of the nerfs going on, so those decks, Desperado, Noble Knights are gone. What are XZ's is top dog right now, 19.1, but it's hard to say who's actually in first. Automat has dropped a little bit to 16.7. Thunder Dragon seemingly everywhere at 12.3. So a little bit of a race there in Tier 1. Right now, Water XZs are still favored. Tier 2, we have Blue Eyes at 8.5. Well, the sheer number of Blue Eyes, you could only think it will get better, but it's possible. People figure out new decks like Noble Knights. There's that Drawson's Dark version. We'll see how well that works, and if that gets the deck back into the tier list. In Tier 3, we have Fire Kings at 4.3, Triamon's back on 3.7, Cyber Dragon 3.6, Star Seraph they did not give a rating, and Heroes have been removed. That sounds about right. So right now it's basically like a 4-deck meta in Duel Links. Okay, so this week we saw the release of the legendary duelist Antinomy. His event was going on already with this 2 new cards, but we got some new level up rewards, a full play set of all of them, so I can kind of tell that it's not powerful in any way. In some cards they released 1 or 2. They released all 3 cards of all 5 rewards, so that kind of gives you a sense of where these cards are. And there's also 6 exclusive duel skills that mainly focus on the TG archetype. They all do. So he doesn't really have... he does have compensation, I guess. That's like a Dark Lord skill level duplication. He can kind of play those decks. Let's talk about his... Let's start with his level up cards. So first one is TG Catapult Dragon. Earth level 2 Dragon, 900, 1300. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 3 or lower TG Tuner monster from your hand. Not bad, but not great. Typically, when this type of setup, where you're trying to set up for the synchro play, or XZ's play now, it's better if the card is from the deck. That's the best one, and then also in the graveyard. The Akiza Dark Verger thing, which is going to be nerfed, it is one of the best synchro options for level 6 because it's in the graveyard, and unless they touch it and they banish the Dark Verger, it's always there for you there, and you use normal summon and it gets it right out. This a little situational. You need that level 3 or lower TG tuner in your hand. Even if you build the best deck, it's completely fine-tuned for this. There's that chance, that RNG, that tuner is not in your hand when you drew your cards. So that's always going to hold this card back, prevent it from being a good card. Again, not the worst card, but this is being a level 2, so you try to get a level 3 out, because the TG archetype primarily synchros at 5, and then they go from there. They're 5, 5, 2, 5 plus 5 for level 10, 5 plus 5 plus 2 for 12. So that's pretty much their whole deal. They have the card in the box, the Star Guardians of 5. Yeah, Star Guardian is important. So, yeah, it's going to hold this card back. Second card is TG Jet Falcon, Wind Level 3 Winged Beast Tuner, 1400, 1200. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, inflict 250 damage to your opponent. So I guess the original was 500. Not a very good card. At 250 is a little inconsequential. It's just a level 3 tuner. Not much more to say. It does come out for free with that catapult cannon, so these two cards can work together. Get your level 5 out. Your level 5 synchro summon right away. And then you inflict a 250 burn. Next card, TG Rush Rhino, level 4 Earth Beast, 1600, 800. If this card attacks, it gains 400 attack during the damage step only. Once per turn during the end phase, if this is in the graveyard because it's destroyed on the field and sent to its turn, you can add one TG monster from your deck to your hand except for this one. So this is tutor ability. You see it in a few of the TG cards. Yeah, I think we talked about those cards last week. That was Screw Serpent. The Warwolf, yeah, the Warwolf, it works. And then I think the Raptor, too. The Raptor, when it's destroyed, you tutor at the end of the turn. Otherwise, this card doesn't really do anything in terms of synchro. It's a level 4, so you're trying to combine it with a level 1 tuner like Tank Grub or Drillfish or the Raptor. So it has that there where it's the 4+1 instead of the 2+3, but it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't achieve the goal of a quick synchro summon, which is what TGs want. They want to do those multiple synchro summons in a turn, and this just doesn't provide that. What this does do is it provides an option for attacking. The TG monsters have pretty low stats. They're not really attackers, so you get an extra one on the to get some reach to kill your opponent. You don't have that. So this guy, he'll hit for 2,000. So that's an advantage of having some attack sometimes. And sometimes you're stranded with monsters with no attack, and they disrupt your plan. There's nothing you can do. TG Rush Run allows you to have some attack, but that's not really the goal of the deck, I guess. So yeah, it's not a great card, but it is there for the attack, I guess. That's all. Alright, this card is not a TG card, but it works with them. Double type rescue trap card. If you control 2 or more face-up monsters with different types, and your opponent controls more monsters than you, target one monster in your graveyard, special summon it. The TG archetype is a lot of different types working together, so that's why it's here. But it's a pretty situational card. You need 2 monsters face up, and your opponent needs 3. So that situation happens, and then you resurrect one. This is a very situational card. Much more inclusive cards like Powerful Rebirth exist, so it's kind of like the card we looked at last week, where I forgot what it was, but it's kind of like a fake, like the Soundproof card. Soundproof is kind of like a really situational Heat Wave. This is a very, very situational resurrection card, so I would just go for something that just gets something out of the graveyard without requiring 5 monsters on the board. Alright, TG Striker, last card. Earth level 2 Warrior Tuner 800-0. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this from your hand. Once per turn during the end phase, if this is in the graveyard because it was destroyed on the field and sent there as turn, add a TG monster from your deck except for this one. So that's the tutor ability. And this is kind of like Cyber Dragon. You get it out for free. And it's a 2. So 2 works with 3. Or you use it as the last piece for the Halberd Cannon. Actually, I think the Halberd Cannon requires the Synchro tuner. So this won't work for that. This is just going to be a quick play. And then you match it with a 3. So the Catapult Dragon, the Warwolf is not a tuner, so yeah, those 2 cards work with this TG Striker. So out of this bunch, the TG Striker is the best one in achieving the TG goal, even though none of them may wind up being in the cut. They're just like, level up cards. Typically, you make use of a level up card if it's pretty good. like the Flame Wall for Axel Brody, but this one we get full playsets of all of them to help some amateur TG deck get by, but we have evidence that better builds exist that don't use any of these cards. Alright, let's get to his duel skills. His duel skills are a little more exciting. Some of them are, some of them aren't. We start with the best one. Set Delta Excel. At the beginning of the duel, add a TG Halberd Cannon, TG Blade Blaster, TG Power Gladiator, TG Wonder Magician, TG Recipro Dragonfly to your extra deck. Once per turn, if you have Synchro Summoned 2 or more TG monsters, play a TG Recipro Dragon from your extra deck. So this is the best free-to-play skill I've seen. We've seen various free-to-play skills where they let you play with a Synchro monster or an Xyz monster. Typically the monster's ace. The character's ace as a skill. And that's kind of like you don't have to buy a box to play the card. This one's so much better. It gives you 5 Synchro monsters. So, the Halberd Cannon's the main get, but Blade Blaster, Power Gladiator, Wonder, Recipro Dragonfly. And they all work well. Halberd's the 12, that's impossible to summon. Blade Blaster's the 10, that's a little easier. 2 level 5s. Wonder Magician isn't even available. And Recipro Dragon, which is the level 2 tuner synchro. So this expands your extra deck by almost half. So you got 12 slots in your extra deck, which is great. And there's no downside. You only get upside if you synchro summoned 2 or more TG monsters, and then you get the Recipro Dragonfly. So you go for the Halberd Cannon play there. So really, this is a huge buff to the extra deck. Yeah, by far the best skill he has. Next one's Machinery Boost. All TG monsters you control become machine type until the end of the turn. In addition, all TG monsters on your side of the field gain 300 attack for each synchro monster on your side of the field until the end of the turn. Skill can only be used once per duel. So this makes them all machines because they're all different types traditionally. I guess it works with the card Divergence. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack that targets your machine, you can target one other machine you control, change the attack to that target. Pulse Mines is a better card. So you could kind of combine it with Pulse Mines, I guess. Then it's like your turn, so it's like you're playing offense and you're activating Pulse Mines, which doesn't make much sense. But you also get a little bit of a buff that's kind of like beatdown, because synchro monsters are like bigger monsters, so there's that. Machine thing doesn't really make much sense to me, though. No real advantage there. Next skill, Flight Control. Return a TG monster from your hand to your deck. Add a TG monster from your hand to your deck. During the turn you activate the skill, you cannot special summon any level 10 or higher monsters except for TGs. The skill can only be used once per duel. Once per turn, twice per duel. The skill can only be used if you have only TG monsters in your main deck. So this is like a better version of Switcheroo, which is good. Switcheroo, you get a random card. This one, you go right for what will get you that Synchro Summon. So a better version of Switcheroo just for TGs. But we have seen the Set Delta Excel be already better than this skill, but we'll see if this gets anywhere. TG Booster. The attack of all TG monsters you control is increased by 50 multiplied by the monster's level. This is really bad. 50. So level 4 monster 200. Level 5 250. Level 10 500. I guess it's better than Tie That Binds, but not that good. I guess this is unlimited, so that's something, I guess. I don't know. TG Tuner. One TG Synchro monster on your field becomes a tuner monster until the end of the turn. The skill can only be used once per turn and twice per duel. So, yeah, so you have to rely on certain cards like TG Star Guardian being a tuner synchro to get off TG Halberd Cannon. Yeah. So this lets you basically play other synchro monsters, I guess, that aren't tuners, and then no, you turn a TG synchro monster into a tuner. So it has to be a TG one. So you have to. It's probably like the Power Gladiator. That's pretty much the other piece that's involved in making the level 10 into the level 12. It's like if something gets destroyed, and then you turn it into a tuner. So it's something like that where it's like an emergency situation. Um, yeah, let me see what we got here. TG Blade Blaster requires a tuner synchro monster. Yeah, so this helps you make the TG Blade Blaster if you're not using like a skill that will give you the Wonder Magician or anything like that, or if you lack the Star Guardian or the Wonder Magician, you're gonna have to turn the Power Gladiator into a tuner or something. It's kind of like a last resort skill that you don't really want to use. Okay, and last skill is Tuner Level Balancer. Increase or decrease the level of one TG tuner you control by 2 until the end of the turn. The skill can only be used once per turn. If you use the skill to increase or decrease the level of a monster other than a synchro monster, you cannot use this skill again for the rest of the duel. You cannot special summon any monsters from your extra deck other than synchro monsters during the turn you activate this skill. So the whole point of this card, this skill, I mean, is to help the halberd cannon, but um, you're kind of like, it's hard to say. This is a level modulating skill. It's a little situational. You have to hit a TG card. If you hit a monster, you're only doing it once. And then if you hit you're trying to hit a tuner, like a tuner synchro with this card. But the problem is the halberd cannon requires 3 monsters. Like, that's part of the requirement. You can't use a 5+7 to get there. You need a full board monster for halberd cannon. So this doesn't really work for halberd cannon. Unfortunately, it does help the Blade Blaster a little, so the math is a little off, but you need like a 3+5, which doesn't even work for TGs because their synchro monsters don't come in level 3. Um, yeah, it's not good, not a great skill, frankly. All right, let's get to the delayed topic of the Forbidden and Limited List update. And this is going live March 9th. And it's not much of an update, frankly. It's more of a skill change this time around. And really, the only thing they hit this time were Desperado decks. Um, I've said this before. We're not playing Hearthstone here, so very little RNG in Yu-Gi-Oh! But Desperado is the embodiment of RNG, and they threw in all those cards together to make it work. Really, it took fire after the previous set of nerfs that hit the really OP decks like Shiranui, um, Invokers, all those guys. So that's the focus here. I guess I don't know how well they did, but they were very popular in the last Kaiba Cup. They've been very popular in the meta. Pretty much a tier 1 deck in terms of performance. I really expected them to go down with the announcement of more cards, but they were really holding things back. So, the power of the deck really blowing things away with Desperado that has not changed. They could still do that. But the whole effect negation deal with Misjudge, the 2 cards with Misjudge, is the problem. So let's talk about this limited list. Very few cards. First one's Bamboo Scrap. This has been limited 1. And what this card does, it's kind of dumb. They put this in the newest box. They put like a limited card in the newest box, but really, you tribute a plant monster, you summon 2 tokens to their board. So it's a board clogger, and they're kind of pushing plants, I think, with the Rika archetype, the nerf to I didn't bring that up yet. There's no nerf yet. They're pushing plant cards, Rika archetype, various cards you're seeing here. So this is like a board clogger. They're trying to prevent the plant decks from taking advantage of this. So this is just a preemptive nerf on a card that was never seen much play. Alright, the heart of this is limited to, where the card Cup of Ace is already limited to. So you're putting these two cards with Cup of Ace. So it's Misjudge and Head Judging. I think the bigger problem is Head Judging. Head Judging was run in other decks. It wasn't specifically put in Desperado. I mean, it's a core card for Desperado, but it was put in other decks. And this is something I actually predicted when the card was first released almost a year ago. This is a card that has a huge swing. It either does nothing or it has a huge swing. And the huge swing is obviously stealing your opponent's monster. Literally stealing their monster. The downside, if you will, is losing the coin flip and getting nothing. So the card gets destroyed. At least it doesn't stay on the board, I guess. But it was being splashed in random decks, and that happened in the Kaiba Cup. And it was a card that never really fit with Master of Destiny. It fit as being a coin flip requirement, but Master of Destiny never worked for it. Because you're making the opponent choose the coin, right? And Master of Destiny guarantees heads, so they pick tails. And they win. They win the head judging, right? So, the Master of Destiny skill never really affected head judging. It was always 50-50 RNG. But I guess it was too strong. It was too strong. And I think it's not going to be played anymore in Desperado. Now, Misjudge, I think you'll still see a copy of her in the deck. Pretty good ability because she works with the Master of Destiny. High attack. She shuts down their turn with that one effect negation. And you go from there. So, what I see with Desperado decks is Misjudge and Cup of Ace in a 1-1 split. Of course, the deck is probably not going to make the tier list anytime soon, the power ranking list. So, really, this is really the nerf that the deck needed. Head judging is probably out. Now, Amazon's Onslaught has been limited 3. I believe it was limited 1 before. And, this type of thing happens where the deck has decreased in power level by so much that it's not really a threat anymore. And Amazon has had Onslaught at 1 was like Cosmic Cyclone was it, and then they lost. So they're trying to test it out now with more. They're trying their luck with 3 Cosmic Cyclones, seeing if this can get by. It was a very strong deck though. They were just banishing stuff left and right, or effect destroying things. Nope, they were banishing stuff. So Amazonas was running wild. They think it's under taps now, so here you go. And of course, the newest box released Mystical Space Typhoon, so more stuff to hit continuous traps makes them less good. And we'll see what this does. Hopefully, it doesn't make the deck come back because I thought it was a really annoying deck. But typically, this type of thing it doesn't bring decks back. Thunder Dragons came back, but that was because they killed it too early. Rose Lover is no longer listed, so Unlimited Rose Lovers, this is pushing the plant archetypes that they're trying to push. And she's been largely irrelevant since she's been put on Limitless with the Sylvans. That was a long time ago. She could help the Rika archetype. As she does, you banish her from the graveyard, special summon a plant. So you tribute her for the Rika, first of all. And then you cheat out another Rika from your hand. And then they're not affected by traps. So, could be a sneaky play. I think Rose Lover could come back. I think she could. Now, let's move on to the skill changes. There are 12 total skill changes going live around March 17th. So, we still have a few weeks before this goes live. Let's talk about it. First one's Transcendent Crystals. So, these 3 skills, Transcendent Crystals, Iron Call, and Cubic Seeds, are all getting buffs. So, can be used turn 3 or onward by sending 1 to 3 cards in your hand to the graveyard. Choose the same number of Crystal Beasts from your deck as the number of cards sent to the hand to the graveyard, placing your spell in trap zone. If you begin the duel with a deck that has 7 or more Crystal Beasts, you can use the skill regardless of the current turn. Yeah, if you run a full deck of Crystal Beasts, you don't have to wait till turn 3. That's pretty much the advantage here. Crystal Beasts were being abused. Transcendent Crystals was being abused in Crystrons. Now it's kind of like you have to play Crystal Beasts to do it. So it's not really. It's pushing an archetype that has a win condition that completely sucks. So you're playing that 4,000 attack 0 Rainbow Dragon. That's pretty much the whole deal with Crystal Beast. They're trying to push that. It's probably not going to go anywhere, so this is a fine buff for skill for an archetype that just won't work. Alright, Iron Call. This is Bronx Stone's skill. It can only be used the next turn after you activated Iron Call. Return 1 machine from your hand to your deck, then return Iron Call from your graveyard to your hand. The skill can be only used once per duel. So it's going to be decent. Iron Call is usable for XZ summoning, so I guess I could say this. It could work for XZ summoning, but it's worse than cards that already have an ability to cheat out cards. So cards that don't need Iron Call. So that's pretty much the whole point of this skill, right? You're running superior archetypes that are fine-tuned, that can do it without the additional need of a spell. So that's something there. You lose a little bit of card advantage. You lose a little less card advantage with the new revamped Iron Call, but it's just better to run an archetype that XZ summons on its own without the need for Iron Call. Now, this is the most exciting one, Cubic Seeds. At the beginning of the duel, add 3 Vajam to your deck. The skill can be used if you begin the duel with an extra deck or deck that contains no monsters other than cubic monsters. In addition, the number of spell or traps you control that are not cubic cards must be 6 or lower. So, as said with the Igami episode, Igami sucked, and the cubic decks sucked because they could not run generic back row. They had to use every single card in their deck was cubic. Main deck, extra deck, spells, monsters, traps, whatever. All cubic. Now they're letting 6 back row come into the game. So that gives the deck new life. That gives it some life. I'm not ready to say cubic seeds are going to be good. Cubics are going to be good, but they get to play back row, which is huge. That's it. So, notably, no other cubic skill was granted this ability to run generic back row. Some other ones, you have to run all cubic cards. So, if any cubic skill is going to see play, it's going to be this one. So, you could just forget about the other ones and start building your cubic decks with generic back row. Alright, Master of Destiny got nerfed. When you toss a coin, the result will always be heads for the first 3 coin tosses. Your first normal draw will be skipped. The skill will only activate if you've been in a duel that has 7 or more cards that require coin tosses with different names. So the only thing that's different is the normal draw. So you lose your first normal draw. Less card advantage. Restart had the same thing happen. So restart, if you restarted, you lose the draw. This is mandatory. So this plus the limited 2. I can't see Master of Destiny surviving in the meta. Alright, so this one hurts me a little bit because I love the skill, What Grows in the Graveyard. Can be used when your life points decrease by 1,500. Add Dark Verger to your graveyard from outside your deck. This skill can be used once per duel. So, not only the 1,500, but you can only use it once per duel. So I think that's what kills it, actually. The 1,500, you could just run Herald of the Abyss. Yeah. Wait a minute. Actually, no, I take that back. This skill's not dead. Because you activate it once, the Dark Verger's not going anywhere. Like, it's still in the graveyard, so you get to keep using it over and over again. Okay. What Grows in the Graveyard is not dead. Just run Herald of the Abyss to lose 1,500. Superior monster removal over Hammer Shot for sure. I don't think plant decks will still run this. You'll still run this with the toolbox, level 6 toolbox deck. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You're fine. Another skill, just to note, this see you later also got hit by the same thing. So can be used when your life points decrease by 1,500. Return one monster to your hand. Skill really took off with the Star Seraph Dark Lords deck, and we still see it now and then. It was the skill for Thunder Dragons before they moved on to level dupe. I think you'll still see play there. You still run things to lose life points, and it's this 1,500 nerf thing, and it makes you easier to lose, which hurts, but it's fine. You just have to adjust your deck a little bit to lose life points, and we've seen that with Cyber Dragons. They do it just fine. Alright, so all the next 6 skills got hit the same way. Restart. No, restart's different. So restart, balance, spell specialist, trap layer, my monster cards, and heavy starter all have been they've all been changed a little bit. And they've all been changed in the same way where you can't special summon or activate monster effects until the end of the main phase of your first turn. So your whole first turn, you can't special summon, you can't activate any monster effects. That is a huge blow. And see, balance stays the same. You still need 6 of each monster, spell, or trap. I'll talk about balance a little bit later. Restart. Restart got nerfed twice before. Once you lose the draw, and once you have to build your deck a certain way, like balance. That's all gone. So restart has been given new life, but you still can't special summon or activate monster effects until the end of the first turn. So restart, a little less bad than the other ones. You still need to rely on back row, but it's a little less bad. Spell specialist, 5 or more spells with different names. This one might be okay because spell specialists never, worried about monsters. They ran a lot of spells. But then, like spell specialists, like witchcrafters. I guess witchcrafters are okay because you don't need to activate effects on your first turn. You want to special summon Madame Vera, but you don't have to. You could kind of wait till your next turn, till you float out, like Shmeta or Patori off. Spell specialists might be okay. It doesn't work for spell books though. Spell books, you want to use the blue boy the first turn. That hurts for spell books. Trap layer, 5 or more traps. This one's fine. Trap layer, you don't need to special summon or activate monster effects the first turn. So trap layer didn't really get nerfed at all. My monster cards. So this one, as the skill says, you need 6 or more level 4 or lower monsters with different names. So this skill gets hurt a lot because they're depending on monsters. You're getting cut off here. Heavy starter, 3 or more level 5 monsters or higher. So it's hard to say whether heavy starter gets hurt because they depended on those big monsters. And it was unlikely they would have. No, they probably would have special summoned. It's unfair to say that. Alright, balance. So balance is going to run trap cards. They're going to run more trap cards than ever. You need 6 monsters, 6 spells, and all trap cards. Because the whole point of this can't special summon or activate monster effects until the end of your first main phase is main phase of your first turn. There's only one main phase in Duel Links. Is to make you play slow. You have to backfoot it. You have to put back row down to survive that turn, and then you go into your hopefully draw a monster, or hopefully have a play set up the next turn, special summon, activate monster effects, whatever you do. You're going to play behind. So running trap cards is the way to survive when playing behind. So it's not a great move, but there's so many trap cards in the game right now that you can survive. And so yeah, like you can't XZ summon the first turn. So something like that's a bad example. Like the water deck, you're trying to play Abyss first turn, but you can't. Like, you want to set him up, but you can't. for balance, it's Noble Knights. So think about this. They can't even they can't do that level 5 XCs, the rank 5 XCs play. They can't use Merlin to his best ability. They can't special summon those knights with the like Madrot into Boars. That plays dead. So you're gonna have to run all these discard traps, I think. So you could discard your until noble arms are needed once again. Set up a special summon the next turn. So yeah, there were all these noble knight decks that shied away. I think it was -1 who shied away from playing discard traps. So now they're going to play more discard traps. That's going to leave them at a negative card advantage, unfortunately. But you try to discard the trap card until noble arms are needed once again. So then you could get some monster advantage back on the board the next turn, and then play your other monster and get into your XC's play. So something like that. Like decks are going to have to rely. Balanced decks are going to need to rely on their trap cards. Restart kind of the same thing because you're kind of you're down that first turn, so you're going to restart and then play a bunch of trap cards, I guess. But it's not a great look. This nerf, like it hits all the skills pretty hard, except for trap player. But yeah, balance and restart were pretty much balance was the main target here because balance Noble Knights was so good. There was also the Blue Eyes deck with balance, so it's just shake up. It's a shake up of skills. Yeah, so even though none of the Noble Knights were hit, this hit on balance is a pretty big deal. You just have to change your deck, I think. Change your deck, but then that hurts the deck. It does. You don't really need to run a million trap cards with Noble Knights, but we'll see. Okay, so we get a new card here as well from the mission circuit. It's Twilight Rose Knight, one of Akiza's cards. Dark Warrior level 3, a tuner as well. 1000. Monsters your opponent controls cannot target plant monsters for attacks. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 4 or lower plant monster from your hand. This is a very similar card to the TG card we just saw. The dragon guy, catapult dragon. So it's a flexible card though. You could use this for rank 3 XC summon or for a synchro summon since it's a tutor. Actually ramp into Black Rose Dragon with a level 4 if you wanted to. Of course, this type of tuner isn't the best. It's better to play from the graveyard and the deck than from the hand. So that situational thing there isn't the best. So that is what it is. I'm not sure if it's worth going through the antinomic theory R's and N's. After looking at them, none of the cards are too impressive. Of course, this box is hurt a little bit by you having access to those TG cards in his in Antinomy's skill. So, do you even need to buy this box? We don't know. I mean, we did see the top players use Screw Serpent and Star Guardian, I guess, in like 3 copies of those cards. Screw Serpent into the deck. So I guess that's what you need to buy to play this deck completely. So I guess that's the reason you buy it. But Rika's, we'll see if they get anywhere, but they didn't get anywhere in the first week of the meta. Humming the Key Jin. These water monsters did not change the deck. The Lantern Shark and the Buzzsaw have not changed the deck. Battle Cruiser Dianthus, that's an interesting name. Shark Caesar. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if these cards are worth it. There's the whole Burning Abyss archetype. Maybe someone will hit King of Games with that deck at the end of the month. I don't know. Some alien cards in here if you want to buy through that and not buy through the old boxes. New Alien Psychic. And not much here that I really like, unfortunately. That's all I have to say. So Upcoming news: early March, Turbo Duel Grand Prix, new UR Tomato King, and new SR Tomato and Tomato. Mid-March, Tour Guide Bingo, new UR number 44 Sky Pegasus. Mid-March, new character, new UR Labyrinth of Klein, new SR Gen X Ally Volcanon. Mid-March, Duel Links Mission Research, new SR Alchemic Magician. Late March, Aigami Sent to the Gate. Late March, Obtain Duke. Late March, Dual Quest, another Grand Spellbook Tower. Late March, Changing the Versus screen. Next week, we're also going to talk about the new Ranked Duel Rewards 2 cards. Alright, so that is it. Thanks for listening. Search and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Just search the Duel Assessment, search Duel Links, you'll find it. All these notes are at theduelassessment.wordpress.com. Email me with anything at theduelassessment@gmail.com, or you can find me on Twitter at duel_assessment, or my own account at Green Ranger CCG. Okay, so thanks for listening. See you next time.